How does God speak to you? Well, for centuries, people have searched for dramatic answers to that question. Some expect signs in the sky. Others wait for miracles powerful enough to remove all doubt forever. Human beings want certainty. Something undeniable. Something visible. Something immediate. But perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about God is the belief that he only exists in the extraordinary. Because most of life itself is ordinary. And if God only spoke through miracles, many people would spend their entire lives missing him. The modern world has made silence almost impossible. Every moment must be filled. Music, videos, notifications, conversations, opinions, distractions. Human beings move through life constantly stimulated, yet deeply disconnected from themselves. And maybe that is why so many souls feel exhausted, not physically, but spiritually. Because the human mind was not designed to carry endless noise. There was a time when people looked at the stars in silence, when they sat with their thoughts, when they reflected on life, death, purpose, eternity.
But modern life trains people to escape reflection, because reflection can become uncomfortable. Silence has a strange effect on the human soul. It reveals things distraction hides. A person can spend years keeping themselves entertained, only to discover in one quiet moment that they no longer recognize who they have become. And perhaps that is where many people first begin hearing God. Not in noise, but in stillness. The Bible says, "Be still and know that I am God." Stillness is difficult for modern people, because when the distractions disappear, people are finally left alone with themselves, their fears, their regrets, their emptiness, their questions. Questions people spend years trying to outrun. Why am I never satisfied? Why does success lose its excitement so quickly? Why do pleasure, attention, money, and achievement never fully remove the feeling that something is missing? Perhaps because the human soul was never created to be satisfied by temporary things.
Ecclesiastes describes this perfectly. A man can possess wealth, wisdom, power, pleasure, and still conclude, all is vanity. Not because life has no beauty, but because everything on earth eventually fades. Every generation passes away. Every empire collapses. Every human body weakens with time. And deep down, every person knows this. That is why human beings fear aging so much. Why they chase distraction so aggressively. Why silence feels dangerous. Because silence reminds people of truths they cannot control. And yet, it is often in those moments of stillness that people become most aware of God. Not always as a voice, not always as words, sometimes as conviction. A feeling deep inside the soul that something in life is wrong, even when everything appears successful on the outside. Sometimes through beauty, the ocean, the stars, a child laughing, the overwhelming feeling of awe that suddenly makes human beings realize how small they truly are. And sometimes, God speaks through suffering. Not because suffering itself is good, but because pain has a way of exposing illusions. There were people who spent their entire lives worshiping success until failure shattered their identity. People who worshipped relationships until heartbreak revealed how fragile human love can be. People who trusted money
only to discover that fear still followed them everywhere. Pain forces human beings to confront reality, and reality often leads people toward God.
Not because suffering automatically creates wisdom, but because suffering strips away false security. It reveals how little control human beings truly possess. Modern culture teaches people to build identities around achievement, appearance, status, and desire. But eventually, time humbles everyone. Beauty fades, fame fades, pleasure fades. And underneath all of it, the soul continues asking the same ancient question. Is there more than this? Perhaps that question itself is one of the ways God speaks. Not through fear, not through manipulation, but through longing. A longing nothing on earth fully satisfies.
C.S. Lewis once wrote that if he found within himself desires nothing in this world could satisfy, the most probable explanation was that he was made for another world. Maybe that is why even people who seem to have everything still feel restless, because the human soul carries eternity within it, and eternity cannot be filled with temporary things. Perhaps God has been speaking all along, through beauty, through silence, through conscience, through longing, through truth, through the strange ache inside the human spirit that refuses to believe this world is all there is.
If this message spoke to something deep inside you, then maybe this channel was meant to find you for a reason. It's honestly beautiful seeing this community grow day after day. People from different countries, different lives, different struggles, all coming together to reflect on God, faith, truth, and the deeper meaning of life. And for that, we thank God. Because in a world full of noise and distraction, it means something when people still take a moment to seek what is eternal. So if you want more videos like this, take a moment to subscribe and become part of this journey. And if this message helped you in any way, share it with someone who might need it tonight. You never know what a single message can do for a soul carrying silent battles. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And above all, thank God for every heart He continues to reach through this channel. God bless you.